Hello, I'm Elgato and welcome back to the video. So today we're talking about some secret blocks only found at the edge of your Minecraft Xbox or Minecraft Switch world. This is something that surprises a lot of people for two reasons. The first is the fact that you might not even know there is an edge to your Minecraft Xbox or Switch world because the world size says infinite, right? Infinite goes on forever. However, infinite isn't quite infinite when it comes to Minecraft because after about 12.5 million blocks, your world is going to function less and less and less until the point where you actually reach at 12,550,821 blocks, the point where your world just cannot generate blocks anymore, and it instead results in this big empty space where there's just ceiling, there's just floor, and then some weird stuff in between. Sometimes there's a sky grid, but your world doesn't generate like normal after 12.5 million blocks. And one of the fascinating things about this, besides the fact that mobs don't work, look at that ghast, he's just not properly functioning, besides the fact that mobs can't work, besides the fact that moving is really hard and really glitchy, is the fact that you get a bunch of secret variants of blocks over here, where stuff like, for instance, those nether brick fences are not nether brick fences at all. They've just turned into a second variant of nether brick. And in today's video, I figured I'd show off all of the secret blocks you can only find if you make your way here to the edge of the Minecraft world. So hopefully you do enjoy this video. If you do all like secret block videos, like this video and let me know because that helps out the channel a lot, and let's know you do like seeing these sorts of crazy variants of blocks that, again, it's the exact same thing you can access, but if you place it too far out from the edge of the world, you're going to get an entirely different block with entirely different functionalities. The most obvious example is stuff like the fences, but there's also a lot of weird examples such as the doors. So doors, as we're all aware, are these fairly thick things that you can use to shut your house. I'm explaining those right now because they do have a thickness to them. It's usually only about like 2 or 3 pixels wide, but I mention that because if you actually go to the edge of your world, for some reason, I'm still not entirely sure exactly why, your door exists just like normal, but you can't see it if you're on the thing. So you might not be able to notice it right now, but there's actually a door right in front of me, just over there. And yeah, the reason you can't see the door is because it loses every bit of its width. It only exists on both sides of it. It doesn't exist from the sides, which is really, really strange. So yeah, as you can see right there, there is literally no evidence a door exists, but if we place over there, you can see there is in fact a door right there. So yeah, as you can, it's super strange stuff, but there is in fact a door here, and the whole model exists, but it cannot be seen. You can, like, from this angle, again, there's nothing there at all, and you can only see it when you open the door like that, at which point you can't see it from this side, because the doors at the edge of the Minecraft world, for some reason, lose all of their, kind of depth to them. So yeah, you have to kind of, place them and turn them sideways if you want to use these things. It's a super strange it's a super strange block in general. It's a super strange functionality, and it's something I figured I would mention because doors just kind of vanish at the edge of the world. You can only see them if they're shut on you, and that's going to be probably used for something pretty wacky. So it's not just stuff like, oh yeah, some blocks get thinner. It's stuff like some blocks go physically invisible, except their particle effects still do occur. So if we place torches around here, for instance, you can see how the torch is placed, but we cannot see it in the slightest. Sometimes they even place into super weird places. It depends on where about the edge of your world you are. But yeah, as you can see, there are torches here. We just can't see them in the slightest. And it's super, super strange stuff, to put it lightly, but it's a really cool way to have random effects come from nowhere, because at the edge of the world, your torches are not visible, and neither, by the way, are your iron bars or any, blocks like this. So, for instance, your stained glass pillars, they also won't work at the edge of the world. They're just entirely invisible. Again, this is next level complexities of weird stuff, but it's something I figured I would show because it's quite fascinating if you ask me. So, as well as that, we've also got stuff like the fact that stairs, it's 3/4 of a block with a little, chunk taken out. At the edge of the world, though, it actually turns into one of two things. The first is just an entire block. So as you can see, my brick stairs are actually just one brick. So you can save yourself some bricks here, maybe. I don't know, they're not entirely bricks. You can see how there's slight differences, it's pretty glitchy and stuff. But still, this is officially a staircase. But as you can see, as we're doing what we're doing, it just is a full block in every way you can tell. But if we go a little bit further out this way, you can see how instead of being like that, we instead get this half slab that's really, it's 80% of a slab. It's again quite confusing stuff. Let's show you from the side. As you can see, it's a half slab, except it has that little bit on it, which means that, oh, okay, we messed that up entirely. It has that little bit on it. That means it's not quite a half slab because the top half goes missing there. So yeah, brick, staircases, and any staircase turn into either a full block or a half slab, depending on where your coordinates are in relation to each other. It's super, super strange stuff, but again, I thought it was kind of cool. As well as that, we've got stuff again, if we go over to our boats will work actually just mostly fine, but they place in the block they're on because the block doesn't probably exist. It's weird stuff, and it means that you can be sat inside a block to some extent until you sit on it. It's weird stuff, basically, like everything else I'm showing, of course, but it's something that you might want to do, place a block, boat on something. Then as well as this, so we'll throw this boat away, and we'll grab ourselves another block, which is going to be the anvil. So the anvil is a pretty trustworthy block, right? You can use it to, everyone knows the anvil. But the reason I'm mentioning the anvil is because if you place it down, then it's going to turn into just a block. So there is a brand new block that looks something like this when you have the anvil, because at this point in the world, for some reason, it can't do the approximations it needs to actually make, the block have any physical shape. So instead, it just turns into this big box. blocks. It's not quite a block-sized block, if I'm not mistaken, but it's still super strange stuff, and you can see it's placed like that. And if I'm not mistaken, if you break the block below the anvil, it should just fall all the way down just like that. So it turns real when you break the block below it, and then it just vanishes afterwards. So yeah, have you ever wanted... That's so strange, right? It falls through the floor because there is no flooring here, and that is the anvil. So it's a block that exists until it... doesn't exist until it exists, at which point it falls through the floor, because guess what? Edge of the world, things don't need to make sense here. And if we do this like to the next level, so if I fall onto this thing, hopefully... I have to like go from a higher foot thing. What I want to try and do here, that messed up entirely. But yeah, basically, things are strange. I think we've all got that in our heads. Let's just move on from this to talk about the next thing, because I can't physically fall on a block to actually place a stack of these. But if you made a big tower of these blocks, you can make them all through the floor at the exact same time. So as well as this, we've got the big ones, in my opinion, which are the fences. So the fences are the thing that inspired this because they are so weird and glitchy. But as you can see, if you place any blocks at the edge of your world, so let's go back a little bit. If we place any blocks of, oh man, if we place any fence blocks, as you can see, they don't actually look like fences, or it's hard to see because again, moving is so hard at this point in your world, and my ender pearls don't work correctly. But as you can see, fences just turn into solid blocks as well. They turn into like this weird variant of wood where it looks mostly like wood, but it changes up and down as you look at it, because guess what? Fences don't need to make sense here, so that's kind of a fun little thing. And then as well as fences being pretty wacky, we've also got just a few other fun examples that we should mention while we're here. That is any other half slab or any other stair, they're all going to have the exact same issues. So again, it depends on where you are if they have these same issues, but if we place that there instead, and we go like this, then our half slab, as you can see, like they look pretty normal, but they go a little bit weirder as you go out, so there's a fun thing you can do. You also got the fact that beacons, beacons are a pretty, easy to understand block, but if you place them over here, they get really, really, really fat. I don't know how to probably describe that. I guess it's because they take up less than a block normally, and in this case, they just get really weird about it. So beacons turn into super strange stuff. As well as that, as I mentioned earlier, if you have glass panes, they're going to go entirely, invisible, so you could change the color of this without even realizing it. So fun little fact you can do right there. And then finally, there's just a few other, weirdities that you can find with very specific blocks. I found that like glass, even though it worked, it was a little bit weird. I found beds, even though they work, there's something a little bit off about them. Again, maybe I'm imagining it, maybe that's not there at all, but it's still something that I saw a little bit off. And yeah, basically my point of all of this is that blocks get pretty darn strange at the edge here, and I wanted to, hopefully you appreciate that, and hopefully you can use this in some way. Because again, I feel like these fences, well, which by the way, they get slightly worse as you go out, so if I go all the way over here, they should, if I'm not mistaken, get a little bit better. I think so anyway. So, oh, well, on the inside it's slightly better. It's just lots of half slabs on top of each other. But if we now go out, back this way, I guess, instead, they actually do get a little bit better as you go towards the edge, or a little bit worse as you go away from the edge, sorry, or better as you go away from the edge. So you can see that this one's just really wide, or maybe it's not. It's weird stuff, but in the overworld, I had different results, and everything is just different all the time. There's not much consistency with anything in the Nether, and you've got to keep that in mind as you go forwards. Oh, one more thing that is worth noting, because I do have a Nether fortress here. One of the things I noticed is if we go all the way over here, the mob spawners look a little bit different. They function just fine, but they're just going to drop the mobs below it because mobs can't spawn. But as you can see, this is the weirdest looking spawner in the world because it's covered in fences, and it's something that's worth mentioning. Nether fortresses get super, super strange at this point, and it's something that you might quite like. So boom, there's a thing. There's Nether brick fences right next to regular fences. You can see they have the same ailment occur to them, and that's kind of cool stuff. Oh yeah, so only some some mobs can actually survive through this floor for some reason. Again, it's confusing as to why. Wither skeletons and blazes fall through, but for some reason magma cubes stay afloat, and for some reason ghasts just kind of glitch in place. I don't know why that is exactly. There's a whole bunch of like research into why this stuff exists that I'd love to do and work out the exact coding reasons for it, because it is to do with weird on the Java version it was something like an overflow, if I'm not mistaken, where something went from being the max value to the minimum value. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with these versions, and yeah, hopefully you appreciate them. So as you can see, ghasts just don't know what to do. It should be moving around, but it just can't work out what's going on there. And yeah, lots of weird stuff like that I hope you all enjoyed in today's video. So if you did all enjoy it, you can like the video and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like seeing the weird secret blocks in the and stuff like this in the future. Again, I love doing these sorts of deep dives into how weird you can really get a glitch, because the Farlands is pretty strange stuff by itself, right? But it gets even stranger when you combine it with stuff on stuff. So I'm going to actually make myself right now, so I'm going to have to ender pearl over there. I'm going to make a beacon at the edge of the world here, and we're going to see exactly what goes on here. So, oh, there's a block there already. But we're going to make ourselves a beacon just over here, and we're going to see what happens, because I imagine not many good things. But if it works, then it doesn't work. I mean, it's the Nether, but I thought on the... whatever. So, as you can see, beacons look pretty strange, even when they've got their blocks attached, and even if you think they can work, that doesn't mean necessarily everything's going to work perfectly. Or maybe the beacon thing is there and we just can't see it because we're not on it. It's hard to be certain sometimes. Again, I'm not up 100% sure on the interaction of the nether. I believe they should work and go through the ceiling, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But with that said, hope you all enjoyed this video. You can like it if you liked it. You can share it if you really liked it. You can subscribe if you're new around here. And I guess other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I enjoyed it too, and I'll see you all in the next one. So have a nice day, everybody. I'll likely be streaming later today as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.